Hello everybody. Today I'm going to be talking about the next upcoming cards and banners that I would say are going to be very effective for the pace chaser players. I already have a video talking about the front runners, and if you are interested in watching that, then you can watch it after this video. And if you are a pace chaser player, just know that you can actually pull on your Oshis provided that you have some carats left, because there is genuinely not that much cards for pace chaser players to pull for. Before we start, consider subscribing as it will help with the channel growth, and I have noticed that this works, so yeah, you are inclined to subscribe now. Anyways, let's go with the video. First things off, there is not going to be any card that you will pull for in general in the making new tracks scenario or the track blazer. So the only Uma that I would recommend to pull for if you are looking at it from a meta perspective is going to be Camping Taiki Shuttle. Camping Taiki Shuttle is going to be a very good pace chaser. She is runnable in sprint, mile, and medium. She can work in either of these tracks very well, and her attributes is actually very interesting, which is 30% power. If you have used in Manhattan Cafe, sometimes you realize you get a lot of stamina, but power growth is just very strong, and 30% is actually not bad of a growth rate. So her unique skill, which is the reason why she is very good, it has two separate conditions, and the first one is very simple. If you are behind the main Uma by 2 horse lengths, or where like if you are second place and the Uma that is first place is only 2 horse lengths ahead of you, and provided that you are between second to fourth place position, ideally you want to be second, and provided that there is only 200 meters left, you will get 0.35 target speed increase and 0.15 to your current speed. What is current speed? What current speed does is that it will instantly put you to the highest speed value that you will have. So instead of just, let's say you are running, I don't know, like 10 meters per second, this effect happens, and the value that you will get in terms of speed will be put on your Uma instantly. So they will actually, like, you will see that Taiki will just launch forward randomly. That is current speed. It is actually much better than target speed increase. It is a very strong effect. And if you failed to meet the 2 horse lengths difference, which is 5 meters, you will instead get target speed increase, which is essentially Triumphant Pulse. This unique is very good, and if you have played with Triumphant Pulse, you just know how good that unique skill is. Her goals are actually going to be very interesting. Neck and neck on release, it is at a random point in the late game, provided that you are 5th and above as a pace chaser player. And the second year anniversary, however, that gets buffed to make it so that it only activates in the first half, which means that Camping Taiki does get slightly better. So that is something that you can look out for as a long term, but it is still a gamble excel that you can take, and it sometimes will help you win races. As for the second gold, it is Mile Maven, which of course is a very good gold skill. And the good thing about this Taiki is that if you build a very strong Taiki Shuttle, unlike the original version where sometimes she will push too much and just dies, if you are winning in the last 200 meters, then you don't really need that unique to win. And if you are very close to winning, you proc your unique and you still win. So it's unlike original Taiki, where she will just push too hard and just fail to proc shooting for victory, which of course is nice. So if you really like Taiki Shuttle, then Camping is going to be a very good Uma for you to go for. That was it for the entirety of the Track Blazer scenario. Next up, we have the Light Hello and Agnes Tachyon. I have talked about this multiple times. You will need 2 limit break on Light Hello. Once we go to Grand Life scenario and onwards, the training effectiveness, the friendship bonus, and the mood effect values does get increased. You really need them because you will train a lot more compared to racing. So, like I said, Light Hello, you really need to get 2 limit break. 1 limit break is copable because this scenario is not a good scenario, but if you are looking at it from a basic human rights standard, I would just recommend at least 2 limit break Light Hello. This is a very strong card, especially after the 2 limit break period. Because of the unique effect of this card, which gives you a multiplicative 30% energy cost down, the SSR version only, of course, when participating in a friendship training, which of course is very strong. If you have Kitasan Black and let's say you have Light Hello alongside of her, you will save yourself a lot of energy. Especially in Limit Break 3, you get 10 energy cost down over here, and it gets multiplied by the 30, and then you add a 30. So 30% of that 10 is going to make it 13%, and then you add the energy cost reduction, so it becomes a 43% energy cost reduction when Light Hello is training with a card that has rainbow training. This is a very strong effect, especially for speed training, because this scenario likes you to have 2 to 3 speed cards and then your other cards be wet. The good thing about Light Hello too is that she gives you a lot of energy. As you can see, 35 energy at the first date, 35 at the second, 70 if you do not need the speed and guts, which probably you will click top anyways, and then on the fourth step you get a lot of energy. So there is a lot of energy going around, and the good thing is that unlike Rika Kishimoto where she had ramp up, gamble, this does not exist. You just click top, you get easy date. So yeah, that's very good. And here I already talked about the training effectiveness. I just put it in the wrong slide. I'm very sorry. I just wanted to say that for the R version of Light Hello, it is not a usable card. Just go with the SSR version. If you are looking for a very maximum cope, then 1 limit break SR is just barely enough, but ideally you just really want the 2 limit break Light Hello. As for the gold skill, it gives you See Ya Later, which is the gold version of Playtime's Over, which is a very strong universal skill. So you really just want to go with the SSR version. Being a gold down in Grand Life, especially for a skill like See Ya Later where everybody else is gonna have it, means that again the R version is not usable card whatsoever. The good thing about this card is that you will get See Ya Later guaranteed. However, you can't get a game ascend when it comes to the hint quality itself. That is fine, because once this card comes out, you will probably use this card for penalty because the gold is very strong and it makes runs very comfortable, especially in the make a new track scenario. So you will probably have playtimes over on your sparks from this card, so you will just have very cheap See Ya Later pretty much almost every single time. And once you train with Light Hello after the first training, you will get a chance for you to get performance token that you have the least of plus 20. Just know that this gives you a lot of extra tokens compared to not having her on your deck, and you will just miss out on a lot of stats if you just do not use Light Hello. Next up we have Agnes Tachyon. Agnes Tachyon is an MLB or a bust card because the skill point bonus is just way too good to pass out. And especially since this is a training scenario, you will actually miss out on a couple of hundred skill points potentially from not using Agnes Tachyon at max limit break. And the unique effect, it is going to be 20% friendship bonus that is multiplicative when the bond gauge is full. As you max out your bond with Agnes Tachyon, she becomes a monster for speed training. Since you are a pace chaser player, you actually get even more value from Agnes Tachyon speed. So you can get from universally, you can get pace chaser corners, and then you get a skill called attack stance, which is going to be the common version of the gold skill that it provides, and then you can get head on. So 3 skills that you can use on your pace chasers, which is of course nice. And in medium CMs, then you have medium corners, medium straights, up tempo, and if you are looking for ground war triggers, you can actually use pace chaser savvy. So this is actually a very good skill lineup for pace chaser players, and you get it at hint level 4 because the card at maximum break gives you hint level 3, and then the 1 hint level at base, so you get hint level 4. So that is actually very nice. The gold skill, which is going to be unstoppable, this is a very strong skill for pace chaser players. It is at a random point in the mid game, you get 0.35 target speed increase for 2.4 seconds if you are a pace chaser player. It is a very simple skill, and you just slap it. It is very strong, and if you get Tachyon to give you attack stance, you will get it very cheap. So this is not like a throwaway skill. It is a good skill for pace chaser players, and I just want to say, at the first chain of Tachyon, you can also actually get pace chaser straightaways. And the very good thing about Tachyon is that you get unstoppable guaranteed. It can be Agamasen in terms of hand quality, but just know that you will always get unstoppable. And you also can get attack stance from here, so it will be very cheap regardless. And since you are farming pace chaser parents, you will probably have attack stance on your sparks. So it is a very cheap gold, and it is a very strong one at it, so you just want to buy it. It is going to be an extremely good card for you as a pace chaser player. So that is why I genuinely recommend you max limit break it. Like, everybody needs a max limit break Tachyon, but it's just going to matter even more for pace chaser players. Next up, we have Narita Brian the Blaze. Oh boy, this Uma is crazy, especially on long distance track. This is going to be your Arima Kinan specialist. This is a very strong Uma, and I will talk about why exactly she is. So her growth rate is 10% speed, 10% stamina, and 10% guts. This is actually not a bad growth rate at all, especially since you can sometimes use guts for dueling and other shenanigans. It doesn't really matter at this point, but she can pretty much run every single distance outside of sprint, but you can technically run her for sprint if you have a spark invest in sprint and you get lucky with inspiration. So that makes her very versatile. Her unique skill. This is a very strong skill. However, it is specific only for long distance tracks. This is the main condition, which is trigger 1. It has a prerequisite, or like a precondition. In the mid game, have you been blocked by the side for 2 seconds? If yes, then we move to the next condition. As for the conditions, it has to be a long distance track, and it has to be the late race, and it has to be also on the final corner, the second half. So the second half of the final corner, much like the Taiki Shuttle original version, of course, and you are 4th or above. You get 5 seconds of a 0.55 target speed increase. That is insane. It is a very lucrative amount of target speed increase. It is very specific, but just know that on long distance tracks, this unique is more BS than Triumphant Pulse, and it will guarantee have full uptime and full value because you are not in the last 200 meters compared to Triumphant Pulse. This is a very strong unique skill. And Narita Brian Blaze is still played in the Japanese version on long distance tracks because of how broken this unique skill is. And if you cannot trigger it, then that is fine. It has a guaranteed activation regardless if you are in this late race in the final corner second half, and you are further higher. Very, very strong. At worst, it is a 0.35 target speed increase, which procs in a good timing, or just wins you the game automatically because you have a 0.55 target speed increase while nobody else has it. That is a very, very strong unique. Her potential skills gives you 2 new gold skills. The first one being Hot Pursuit. This is a skill exclusive for the pace chasers and late soldiers. If you have an overtake target in the second half of the race, you get a target speed increase. It helps you push, it helps you get closer to the front runners, and it is a very good gold skill. And it goes extremely well with the other gold skill, which is called Monster. Monster is absolutely broken. I do not know what they were thinking, but this is essentially straightaway spurt for pace chasers. So here is how it works. After the 60% point of the race, and you have to be in the mid game. So it only works if you are on the 60% or ahead part of the race, and there is the mid game, of course, and you have to be behind first place by 4th lengths or less. It has to be a long distance track, and you just run a pace chaser. So if you pre-fill the preconditions and it's a long distance track, you get spurt. 0.4 acceleration for 1.2 seconds on a pace chaser. Remind you, this is an Uma that has a 0.55 target speed increase. So she has an insane acceleration. She has a very good gold skill to help her get the unique effect for monsters to proc. This kit is very, very nice put together, and to top it all off, she is a fast learner Uma. So you have double the chances of you getting fast learner on this Uma, and at this point, if you get fast learner, long S, and you are a pace chaser player, you might as well just have a 100% win rate. It is a very, very strong Uma. I would recommend you pulling on this Uma if you really like to have a long distance strike Uma that just demolishes the competition. It is a very, very strong Uma. So again, not a brain praise, very, very strong Uma, especially on long. She can be ran in medium mile too. However, she doesn't really get the benefit of Monster, but she is still playable because of her unique skill still being very good. So Kitasan Black is up next, and this is not a joke, but bear with me. This is mostly a front runner Uma. So why am I putting her here? It's because of the unique skill. The unique skill is absurd. I do not know what they were thinking with this unique skill, but just because she is a frontrunner Uma, that doesn't mean that you can't use this inheritance on your pace chaser. So Kitasan Black, the New Year's, is going to be used mostly as a parent for your pace chaser because of current speed and it instantly putting you to the top speed instead of it being gradual like target speed increase. This is a very, very strong effect, and you also get acceleration off of it too, and it insta procs in medium distance tracks. So it is a very, very strong unique skill overall. As an inheritance, you get a 0.15 current speed increase, which is a decent amount, and you also get some acceleration. So once that current speed is away, you still have that benefit of the acceleration, because how it works exactly is that target speed increase will instantly put you to the next or like the highest speed value that you will be at, and then you are still technically accelerating. So while this duration is up, yes, you are just zooming randomly like a freak, you still are accelerating. So picture this. Let's say we are racing at a 10 meters per second, and then we get put to the late race. Now we should be at like 20 meters per second in the late race. This will insta-proc. You will get instantly pushed to a higher current speed value, but while still accelerating, you get the full value of both. So not only you push very far, you still get acceleration. So after the duration ends, normally you'll be set back to 10, but you were accelerating in that part. So you'll be at like 13 or 14 meters per second, very close to hitting your top speed. This is a very strong skill. Current speed is extremely valuable. So I would recommend that you can go with Kitasan Black if you want a very strong parent for your pace chasers. So here is how Kitasan Black's unique works in the first place. It is in the late game, if there is a corner, you insta-proc it if there is still 600 meters on the race, and provided that you are third or above. That is why pace chasers can use it, is because third or above is not a hard condition for pace chasers. As for Kitasan Black, you can justify skipping her if you can buy the selectors. So if you can buy the selector, you could justify skipping Kitasan Black and just get her from the ticket if you are looking at it from a parenting perspective. That is up to you. This is just a recommendation that I would just give out, because there isn't really that much of high value Umas that you can pick with the second anniversary ticket as a pace chaser player. So if you want to save your carats, you can skip Kitasan Black, borrow one for like the 1 or 2 medium CMs that will happen, and you can just go with a ticket on K.S Black New Year's. Next up is K.S Miracle, a Guts card. So let me explain. This is mostly a card that you will pick because of the gold skill, not really much else. And this is going to be something that I don't really see talked about that much, was how the Grandmaster's banner is structured on the card itself, since I genuinely think that card is just a borrow. You do not pull for the Grandmaster's card. But let me explain what this card does. This card has a very strong effect of +2 bonus power when bond gauge is at least 80. So when you are training your speed, power or guts, this is going to be very noticeable. And the card itself is actually not bad in terms of generating guts and power. It is lacking on the speed side, but you genuinely have your speed cards and your weak cards, so it is not that difficult for you to use this card in between. And you can actually use it at 1 limit break, but the higher limit breaks are always welcome. As for the hints that you can benefit off, you probably will see pace chaser straightaways and attack stance, which of course 2 are really good skills. And for groundwork activation, you can go with pace chaser Safi. So that is going to be something nice. For the hint pools, it's not a big hint pool, and you have a 50-50 chance for you to get something extremely useful or something niche. As for the reason why you should go with K.S Miracle is because of neck and neck. As you can see in the current version of Umamusume, this skill procs at a random point in the late race, provided that you are a pace chaser and you are 5th or above. However, that gets changed on the 2nd year anniversary, so that it becomes the first half of the late race. While still is a gamble acceleration in general, more often than not you will get some value from this skill. So it is a very noticeable buff. It makes the skill feel more consistent, and it has more likelihood for it to proc at the ideal time for. So in general, it gets buffed to be a usable skill, and you can use this with K.S Miracle. So let me explain this very quickly before you get very confused on what I'm trying to say. So if you are a chase pistol I'm sorry. if you are a pace chaser player and you are looking to have neck and neck on your pace chaser, then I would genuinely recommend you pull one limit break on K.S Miracle and the borrow max limit break Ancestors card. This card, from what I've been seeing around, this card, 1, you should not pull for this card. 2, this card is only usable on max limit break. And 3, this is a very expensive card in general. So let me explain my thought process very quickly. If we swap to Game Tura, this is what I'm going to be trying to say in general with this card is the training effectiveness. The more scenarios that pass, the more and more noticeable this is. This could be a couple 100 of skill points on a good run. If you do not have maximum break ancestors on your deck, you will feel that your Umas are going to be way weaker in general compared to other Umas. And so let's go back to the Figma. So here is the thing, okay? This card is genuinely just 1 month after Ramonu Wit in the Japanese version. This is probably going to be 3 or 2.5 weeks difference in global, but this banner only has 10 free pulls and Ramonu Wit has 120 free pulls. I verified, this is not like the Agnes Tachyon situation again, but Ramonu Wit has a total of 120 free pulls. So in general, Ramonu Wit is of course going to be your main priority, but in general, when you want to maximum break a card, on average it takes 400 pulls or 600. It just depends on your luck of course, but in average it's between 400 and 600. This is a scenario card that will last about 4 months on global and it only has 10 free pulls, so you will have to deposit potentially 390 or 590 free pulls on the ancestors. And the card that is paired up with is an SR power card that is essentially worthless, because SR cards from Grandmasters on onwards are essentially close to 0 value. There is no reason to use an SR card unless you are a new player. So you are pulling on a card that is essentially just a scenario link, but the tax is so high that you are better off just borrowing this card instead. So that is my recommendation. I genuinely recommend not pulling for this card and instead put it as your borrow slot. So that is why I also recommend going with K.S Miracle Guts, because neck and neck becomes slightly more valuable, and instead of you having to use a suboptimal card that it will be forced to be used for 4 months on global once this comes out, again, K.S Miracle is probably going to be a good banner to pull for, and I would genuinely recommend everybody to skip this ancestor banner and instead just go with the borrow slot for this card. Then we have Mejiro Ramonu. At this point, every single card should be at maximum break in most cases, and for Mejiro Ramonu, you ideally want to maximum break this card for the hint levels and also the whip bonus. And also this card lives for a very long time, much like Fine Motion, so you can use this card at maximum break, and ideally you should. And again, it's not bad to use Fine Motion alongside this Ramonu card, because you have Speed Star from Fine Motion. If you get it, it can be Agnes, which sucks, but it is what it is. But Mejiro Ramonu is a very very strong card. It will power creep Fine Motion in terms of the strongest statistic output, but you can use it alongside Fine Motion, so that is essentially not that bad after all. And for Mejiro Ramonu, the very good thing about her, like I said in the front video, is that all of its hints is extremely good for the mild and medium. You have a lot of skills that you can get for these 2 distance courses, which of course is extremely nice. And if you are a pace chaser player, all I have got is a good skill for pace chasers, and firm step is also very good for pace chasers too. So in general, the hint is going to be extremely nice, and it goes extremely well with her unique effect, where you have to buy 5 target speed increase skill for it to get 20% training effectiveness. So the ideal gameplay is that you get a skill from Ramonu or a different card at maximum break, you insta buy it, which is going to be very cheap anyways, and you get training effectiveness for Ramonu. So very strong in general. The gold skill, which is going to be Ascendance, it procs at a random point in the mid game. If this is a medium or a mild distance course, you get target speed increase. It's much like Unstoppable from, I guess, Tachyon, but it is for mild and medium distance tracks, so that is very good. And Graceful Step is the common version, so generally speaking, Ascendance will probably be a very cheap skill in general. And you can clearly see in Ramonu is that it is guaranteed, and she has actually very interesting quirk, and that is you can get 15 bond from the bottom option if you really are chasing for the very high roll. And that is pretty much it for Mejiro Ramonu. You want this card maximum break, and of course every subsequent card, is that how you say it? Anyways, any other card that comes after Mejiro Ramonu and also Ramonu herself, you want them to be a maximum break. Then we have Agnes Tachyon Summer. Agnes Tachyon Summer is very similar to Narita Brian Blaze, except that she specializes for the medium distance tracks, and it has to be Nakayama race courses. Her growth rate are essentially 8% speed, 8% power, and 14% width. What I see personally is that it is 10% speed, 10% power, and 15% width. This is probably one of the best, if not the best, growth rate that you can have. The other best is power and width. Those growth rates are extremely valuable, so her growth rate is very strong. So here is her unique skill, Summer Holoton. I think that is how you say it. If the track is Nakayama Racecourse, if there is a mid-game corner in the second half of the race and you are 2nd to 5th place, you get target speed increase. This is, for the most part, a speed carry over skill, so that is extremely strong. And if it is Nakayama Racecourse, you get some acceleration depending on your base speed. So the higher your base speed is, the more acceleration you will get. This is a very strong unique skill, and if there is no Nakayama Racecourse, then it is going to proc at a corner 50% throughout the race, and you are 2nd to 5th place. So it's still a very strong unique skill. Her gold skill is going to be something called Singularity, and that is if you are a pace chaser and on a medium distance track, if your speed stat is at least 1200, which at this point is extremely free, your speed will be increased by 60. You will get additional 20 speed if your wet stat is also over 1200. So if your speed and wet is over 1200 in the Grandmaster scenario and onwards, that is like extremely easy, by the way, you will get 80 speed if you are a pace chaser in the medium distance tracks. So in medium distance tracks, she has a permanent 80 speed advantage compared to everybody else. That is extremely strong, especially if you have played with not the top road. It is very stupid how firm course, Menace even works, but here we are, and it is on an Uma, not a card, so only herself will have this gold skill, so have fun trying to beat her. Anyways, that probably sounded freaky, but that was not my intention. Anyways, the other gold skill is going to be Unstoppable, which is the exact same skill that I guess Tachyon speed has, which is that if you are a pace user at a random point in the mid game, you get target speed increase. Very, very basic gold skill, but it will proc every single time, and it's going to be an extra mid game skill that will help you push. So it is not a bad skill at all. You will always put this skill anyways, so it is nice for Summer Tachyon to have it. Summer Tachyon is a very, very strong Uma, and of course there is a lot of people that like Agnes Tachyon anyways, so I would recommend you pull for Agnes Tachyon if you like her, which is probably 90% of you, and she is on a swimsuit, so I don't know, man, just go wild. So yeah. And then we have My Stake and El Condor Pasa Speed. Those two cards, you want them at maximum break. I will not go to very much detail, this video is already lengthy enough, and I don't want to talk about cards that are just like way too ahead of our time now. So once we get closer, I will probably update these videos for more information. Anyways, these two cards, you want them at maximum break, especially El Condor Pasa, because El Condor Pasa becomes the next generalist card that will dethrone Kitasan Black. Then we have the quote-unquote optimal pace pull plan, but keep in mind that the correct calculator made by Henry Handsome Derby, which is a very, very good calculator that I personally use, can tend to undershoot. So you can actually get slightly more creds than what you see over here. And this is from a feedback that I have seen. The 20,000 cred monthly creds, I have seen some people say that is a bit too much, but I personally think 20,000 is still undershooting it, because my average is about 28 to 30,000 credits per month. Anyways, I made it 15,000. So that is like, if you are like not in a group, you do not maintain classics, so you are just playing the game. You are finishing the events, and you're just participating in champions meeting, getting to at least group A third. So it's not that difficult to get this. Anyways, here is what I would consider as a quote-unquote optimal pace pull plan. The thing is, while I mentioned Taiki camping, it is a very good Uma, but keep in mind that from now onwards, you will probably not have enough if you have completely zero correts. If you have no correts at all, then I would recommend just skipping camping Taiki and then follow this plan. As you can clearly see, you are more than enough to pull on every single banner over here. It can get a bit dicey with K.S Miracle, but like I said, one limit break K.S Miracle is probably enough, and you skip the Ancestors banner. And yeah, that's pretty much it. This is the pull plan that you can put as a baseline for your pace chaser planning. You can of course add your Oshi, let's say you skip Kitasan Black New Year, you can instead add a different banner like Valentine Ani's Fusion if you are looking for League of Heroes, etc, etc. This is just a baseline that you can use. And lastly, thank you for watching. This is a very long video. I tried to be formative. I know sometimes I go off of script, but it just happens. I want to make that video not just, oh, just information. The video is supposed to be me trying to help you out while also being not very serious about myself. And of course, there will be a late surger and an enclosure version of these videos. So I hope to see you there if you are interested in these, and that's pretty much it. If you found this video to be helpful, consider subscribing and consider joining the community server linked in the comment section, and I hope to see you in the next one.